Right. Okay, so let's just start with a little breath. So fingertips to the floor. And just feeling your rib cage settle back over your pelvis, right? Noticing if your ribs are in front of your pelvis or behind, right? Maybe even just shifting forward and back so you feel what your kind of natural or where you tend to fall into, and maybe play with finding a different place or a different balance. Same with the head, letting the head move forward just a little and back. Just noticing if the head often is forward of the rib cage or over or slightly back. And looking for a vertical alignment, easy, balanced. Good. And then as we inhale, taking the arms out and up. And exhale, arms out and down. And inhaling, arms out and up. The inhale supporting the movement, creating the movement. And exhale down. As if the breath starts, the movement is within the breath. Exhale starts. Movement follows the breath. And finding your length of breath, the volume. Notice how the breath can drop and also lift, just with the different movements of the arms. Good. 2 more. And last one. And let's switch it up. So left hand on the floor, I'm just going to walk it out. Palm down. Inhale the right arm up and over. And exhale, right arm down. Good. Inhale, right arm up and over. And exhale, right arm down. Good. And then I'm just going to play with taking that right arm behind. Good. And I'm actually going to internally rotate the arm as it's back. So the arm's behind the body. I'm turning the palm towards the floor and then towards the back wall. So thumb is down. I'm going to keep drawing that arm back. And then I'm just going to slowly externally rotate it. So turning the palm now forward and up to the ceiling, up overhead. And then I'm going to rotate towards the left hand, bringing that right hand towards the left hand. And then take that arm back, swoop it back up to the ceiling. A little bit overhead. This time I'm going to internally rotate that arm again. So I'm turning the palm forward, turning the palm up towards the ceiling. Turning that arm up to the ceiling, the palm up to the ceiling, and then externally rotate again. One more time, internally rotate and swoop that arm down and back. Keep internally rotating, thumb towards the floor, palm towards either the floor, the back wall, or even up to the ceiling. And then come up to sit. Other side, right hand to the floor. Inhale, the left arm floats up. And exhale down. And inhale up. And exhale down. And inhale up. Hold. Good. Let's internally rotate that arm here. Just to feel the difference. So maybe the hand rotates, but can you feel the forearm, the upper arm also rotate? And then taking that arm down. And again, I'm going to internally rotate that arm. So I'm turning the thumb towards the floor. So the palm turns to the floor and then to the back wall. And then draw the arm back. Good. And then keeping that arm drawing back, externally rotate that arm. So the palm turns forward again, up to the ceiling, the hand, the wrist, the forearm, the upper arm, so you feel it from the hand to the shoulder. And then internally rotate again. Good, and then swooping that arm out and up, still internally rotated. And then I'm going to rotate ribs towards the right hand, left hand towards the right hand. And back up to the ceiling. Overhead. Internally rotate, turning the palm towards the ceiling. Right, I'm moving from the thumb. And then externally rotating, turning the thumb back and up, little fingers towards the floor. And then coming up. Good, one more time, left hand down, swoop that right arm up and over. Doing one, just one without the rotation, right arm towards the left hand, right hand towards the left hand, rounding, rotating. Then back up to the ceiling. Good. Internally rotating that arm. So I'm turning palm towards the head. No, that's externally rotating. Internally rotating. Turning the palm up towards the ceiling. So thumb turning towards the ceiling, little fingers towards the floor. And then the opposite, externally rotating. Palm down. Little fingers towards the floor. Good, one more time here. Let's round, bringing the right hand towards the left hand. Keep that external rotation. Keep that external rotation. Come back up. Good, internally rotate that arm. Let's press the arm back down. Keep it internally rotated. Now bring it behind the body towards the wall behind you. Good, externally rotate. Good, and swoop that arm from the back all the way up and around and forward to the left hand. And then back up and back to where it was. And then come up. Other side. Good, float that left arm up and over. Good. Internally rotate, so I'm turning, initiating from the thumb, turning the palm towards the ceiling, and externally rotating. One more time, internally rotating. I'm going to keep that internal rotation as I push down, coming towards the body and then behind the body. Reaching the hand away from the body. Good, externally rotating back here. Turning the palm towards the ceiling. And then again, internally rotating. I'm just going to swoop that arm up and across and around to the right hand. And back up and back. Good, one more time up. You'll feel the body either keep maintaining that internal rotation or you can roll through to an external rotation. Then back up and back. And come up to sit. Then just take shoulders to the ears and back and down. Forward, back, forward, up, back and down. Let's go the opposite. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other behind the body. Pull them up towards the ears. Bring them forward, drop them. One more like that. And release. Okay. Now a little warmer. Okay. So let's come on to, actually just start here for a moment. Hands behind, fingers facing forward, palms flat on the floor. So spreading the palms into the floor as much as you can. And then I'm going to play with letting those arms bend and letting the ribs drop, especially the lower ribs. Right, front lower ribs drop back, the back lower ribs drop back towards the wrist. I'm rounding the back, the hip can drop forward. And then the opposite, right, where the ribs move forward, the shoulder blades squeeze together, the arms are going to straighten out. And then the arms can bend, the shoulder blades go wide, the back rounds. And ribs move forward, shoulder blades squeeze, the arms straighten, the head lifts. And flexion, arms bend. And extension. One more, flexion. And extension. Then I'm just going to lift my hips up and scoot them a little further away from my hands. Same thing, bending, rounding, straightening the arms, ribs move forward, shoulder blades move towards the spine, head lifts. Flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Last time, flexion, extension. Good. And then walk the hips back. Straighten the legs, take the arms forward. Let's just flex the wrists. Good. With the wrists flexed, let's take the arms up. And then extend the wrists or lift the fingers up. Extend the wrists and come back down. And then flex to come up. Extend to come down. Flex to come up. Extend to come down. Let's take the arms out to the side. Flex to come up. Extend to come down. Flex. Extend. One more time. Flex. And extend. Okay. Good, legs straight. So you can bend the knees if you feel like you're rolling back, or you can tuck something under your sitting bones and your tailbone to stay upright. It's actually bend. We do this in a bigger version. We'll just do a smaller version. So I'm going to take my left hand behind my left thigh, right arm up to the ceiling, and pulling with that left hand, I'm going to turn the rib cage to the right, right arm back. Spine is nice and long, a little bit of an extension. And then as I come forward, I'm going to let the spine round, reach for the feet, for the toes. And then swoop the arm up. As I pull with the left arm, turn the ribs to the right. And then up, and again, fold over the bent leg. And lift and rotate, reaching to the back of the rib. Nice, follow that right hand. And up, you can even take the eyes up to follow the right hand into the rounded shape. One more time, lift, rotate, lift, round. One more, lift, rotate, lift, and round, and switch. Get some holding right thigh with the right hand. And left arm reaches towards the ceiling. So I'm using that right arm to turn the right ribs to the right leg so that the left ribs can turn back, left arm back. Follow the movement with the eyes. And left arm up and forward. And then lift, rotate, turn away from the left leg. And then lift and round, fold into the left leg. Lay your body down, head down, reach for the toes. Lift, rotate, turn. That long position, extension, coming forward. Rounding, you can point the toes or flex. Lift, lengthen, rotate. And lift, round, fold. One more, lift, rotate, reaching back, looking up as you come forward, folding down. And come up and sit. Okay, chin to chest. So as my head comes forward, letting the breastbone fall back. Right, so that the back body, right, back of neck, back of the spine, shoulder blades start to widen away from the center line. Like that there's this rounding. Middle back, lower back. And then start to draw the crown of the head forward towards the toes. You can use the hands, crawling on the floor, drawing the breastbone forward. And then slowly come up. One more like that. Head falls forward, spine starts to pull back, letting the shoulder blades slide wide, letting the ribs slide wide, upper ribs, middle ribs, lower back, feeling any amount of lengthening, spreading, rounding, and then start to draw head forward, breastbone forward, and slowly come up. Good, flat back this time, or right, a little more extension. So, and just notice when you're sitting, as you flex, the sitting bones pull forward almost under you as the top of the sacrum moves back. And then as you extend the spine, right, the sitting bones pull back a little bit. Tailbone pulls back a little bit. So as I tip forward, I'm almost trying to think about sticking my butt back. Slow, letting the pelvis, top of the pelvis tip forward over the thighs. And then start to round, curling the crown of the head towards the pubic bone. Again, feel that widening, lengthening. And then unfurl to come up. One more like that. Flat back to come down. Good, crown of the head towards the pelvis. And then slowly. Okay, so on your back. On your back. Actually, let's grab, so having, whether it's a towel or a blanket, doesn't have to be a lot of height. But let's try to get some height. So I'm just going to fold my blanket in half. Depends on what thickness your blanket is or your towel is. I'm just going to put a little height under my pelvis. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to play with the right knee coming into the chest. Right arm. So my arms are going to stay straight, interlacing my fingers around my shin or back of leg, if that's what you can find. And I'm actually going to let my right leg rest in my hands as I straighten that left leg. And it's not a lot of height, but that left leg is slightly behind that hip. And then I'm going to take hold behind the right thigh. This time lift the thigh, press into the hands, arms are still straight. And then I'm going to point the toes, right toes, and extend the leg, reaching the toes towards the ceiling. May not straighten all the way. Flex the foot. Flex both feet, reach through both legs. And then bend that right knee, keeping the thigh pressing into the hands. Point and straighten. Maybe even straighten the other left toes. And flex and bend, pressing the thigh into the hands. One more time. Point, straighten the right leg. You can point through the left leg. And flex to bend. Good. This time, interlace around again, either thigh or shin. And this time I'm going to bend the arms, letting that right leg come closer to my body. Left leg heavy in the opposite direction. Good. And right foot on the floor. Left knee comes in. Again, either holding shin or back of leg, straightening the right leg. Again, you can even turn the right leg out and in, right? Noticing which is easier, which is harder. We have a natural turn out. Turning the toes out to the side, externally rotating will be easier. But playing with that internal rotation. Okay, and then slipping the hand behind the thigh. Let's go ahead and point and then extend the leg. So I'm still pressing the thigh into the hands as I straighten. Flex both feet. And bend, still pressing into the hands. Point. Good. Lengthen through both legs. Lengthen through both arms. Flex, bend, point, straighten. With long legs, long arms, long waist. And flex and bend. And again, this time hold the shin again, if you can get it, or still holding the leg, but just bend the arms and draw that leg in. Again, rolling maybe internally and externally, rolling out externally. Good, let's go back to the first side. So right leg in, holding the shin, left leg straight. Good, this time holding just with fingertips. So as I straighten that right leg, and again, it might not straighten all the way, but I'm just gonna hold and feeling for all these hamstring muscles. Sometimes you can grab, you can just hook your fingers into that septum between the muscles. Good. Or hold hands. And then I'm just going to play with letting that left leg come off the floor just an inch. And maybe just keep lightening the touch on that right arm. So I'm using Let the reach through the legs, the reach of the legs away from each other, and that left leg hovering above the floor. And then I'm just going to slowly lower the right leg towards the left leg, maybe halfway, and back up. Again, reach the legs away from each other. And then lower the right leg towards the left leg, halfway, and then lift. One more, lower, maybe all the way, and then lift. Good, both legs up. And let's switch. So you can start with the bent left leg, right leg on the floor. Good, and then let's straighten that left leg again. You can either hold your pants or hook your fingers into either behind, even the tendons behind the knee is a good place to hold on to, just above the knee. And then lifting that right leg off the floor, just an inch. Different stability needed. In a sense, I'm drawing the pubis towards those front lower ribs and lower ribs towards the pubis. I'm still reaching the legs away from each other. Left leg towards, or I'm extending that left leg and reaching it towards me. Right leg away. Good, you can even bring hands to the floor if that helps. Lower left leg halfway down, maybe third of the way down. Then back up, reach the legs away from each other. Lower halfway, and back up. Reach the legs away from each other. Right, the dynamic changes when the leg starts to lower. I'm still trying to contain ribs to pubis. And then back up. And then both legs up. Again, flex the foot. Point. Let's take the legs wide. Again, they don't have to be fully straight. And again, flex and point. But you know, wall space. And then let's go ahead and bend the left leg. Keep reaching the knees away from each other. And then extend the left leg, bend the right leg. Stretching the knees away from each other. Good, and switch again. So one leg is bent, one leg is straight. And then switch again. Good, and extend both legs. Reach the legs away from each other. And then legs together. Good, arms out to the side. So I'm just going to play with taking the right leg towards the floor, but hovering the leg. And then I'm going to play with taking that left leg out to the side. And I'm still trying to pull the legs away from each other. Legs can be slightly bent. And then bringing that left leg up. And then taking that left leg across, left hip on the blanket for a few moments, or towel. And then rolling. So I'm going to let that left leg keep falling to the right, falling. And then eventually the whole pelvis is going to turn to the right. And I end up on my outer right hip. The legs are still reaching away from each other. Breath is easy. You can let the head roll to keep that left shoulder on the floor. Good, and then slowly, left leg up, Right leg up. Bend the knees just a little. Shake the feet out. Take them up and down, side to side. Shake the whole legs out. Okay, let's do the other side. So left leg comes down. Not all the way, right? So I'm having to use my torso to support my legs as the legs are reaching long and away from each other. Good, using that opposition. And then right leg travels out to the side. Just pause, legs are reaching away from each other. And then slowly back up. Right leg falls to the left, the hip is still on the blanket. Towel. And then slowly rolling, tipping, reaching that right leg across. So I end up on that outer left hip. There's a wall there, so I'm just going to use it. Right shoulder on the floor. Good, and then slowly come back up. Both legs up. Bend. And just a little kicking of the feet. And then just kind of wobble the legs side to side. And then egg beater, right? So I'm going to let the right leg do a counterclockwise as the left leg does a clockwise circle, but they're not at the same time. There's one circle, then the other circle, like an egg beater. And maybe even slow it down. So you're aware of your breath. Good, change direction. Right, send that left leg into counterclockwise, right leg into clockwise. You can make the circles bigger. Good, and then both feet on the floor. Let's take feet together, knees apart. This can be quite challenging, what we just did. So just feeling that we're allowing the hips, the legs, groin, the breath, the jaw, whatever was trying to help you soften. Good, and draw the knees back up to center. Let's take the feet wide, draw the knees towards each other, let them fall towards each other. And then draw the knees up. Okay, so I'm just gonna walk, actually, let's play with now. Well, maybe. Let's just lift the hips up, right? So a little posterior tilt, lift the hips up, slide. I'm actually gonna look at the heels. Slide the blanket to the heels and slowly, slowly roll the spine down, right? Using that Kind of slowly lowering the weight of the body down, just to help almost decompress the area. And then I'll let my feet come onto the blanket. And again, little anterior tilt just to feel that. Just to feel that kind of moving of the pelvis towards the femur bones. And then posterior tilt, moving the pelvis back away from the femur bones. Top of the pelvis. And top of the pelvis moves closer to the femur bone on that anterior tilt. Sitting bones move back and down. And then the opposite. Sitting bones move. So I'm closing up that back relationship. Sitting bones to the back of the femur, opening up the front relationship, pelvis to femur. Anterior tilt. Posterior tilt. Keep that posterior tilt. Press into the feet and scoop the hips up. And just pause here for a moment. Then letting the right hip just sink towards the floor. And then lift towards the ceiling. And left sitting bones sink towards the floor. And then lift towards the ceiling. One more time. Right side drops. Pelvis tilts to the right. Right hip lifts back up. Left hip drops. Pelvis tips to the left. Left hip lifts back up. Pause. Breathe. And slowly, slowly lower down. Okay. So just kind of turn, arms out to the side. Right, letting knees drop right. Little press into the feet to allow that left hip to move away from the floor and to the right. Maybe the head rolls left. Slowly drop back. Back of the pelvis to the floor. Knees drop left. Step into especially that right foot, right hip moving towards the ceiling, towards the left. Head rolls right. And rolling back to the floor. Knees drop right. Head left. And center. And again, knees drop left. So this time I'm actually going to let my right arm move towards that right foot. Left arm just swish overhead as the head falls to the right. And then the opposite, arms come through center, knees come through center, knees drop right. Left arm sweeps down, right arm sweeps up. Head falls left, center with the arms and the head and the knees swishing the other way. Arms swish to the right, knees fall left. Head rolls right and center and swoosh to the left with the arms, knees to the right and center. Okay, let's do a couple. Knees drop right, left leg starts to trace along the floor, like softening. I notice my throat wants to get involved. Left leg swings around towards the right hand. Maybe make contact, right hand somewhere on the foot, leg, knee, thigh. Pause. And then release. Sweep back through center, knees up, knees drop left. Sweep around. Hold, pause. Breathe, lengthen through the sides of the body, through the limbs. And sweep, other side, knees drop right. Pause. Soften. And find a place to make contact so the body can settle. And then release, sweep again. Center and to the left, right leg over to the left side. Holding foot, leg, knee, thigh. Soften. And center. Good. So let's actually do roll onto your side. We're just going to come up onto hands and knees. So toes under. And just going to shift forward and shift back. Just preparing the toes for a moment. And shift forward and shift back. Maybe even shift forward, point the toes, shift back. And shift forward and shift back. And then I'm just going to stay here. So hands walk forward. Forehead can come to the floor. Use your blanket if you need to put under your head, or if the shoulders don't allow you to come all the way down to the floor. Just breathing. You can keep reaching the arms away from the hips. Or you can play with pressing the hands down to help move the hips back. Another breath or two. Right, minimizing your engagement so you can find that softening through the tissues. And then press into the feet and shins. Come back up. Release the toes, turn the toes back, and sit back. And pressing into that right hand. Just turn and look under the right arm. Press into that left hand as you turn away from that left arm. And then switch. Turn your head, look under that left arm. Press into the left arm, right arm, or hands. And come back to center. Slide the hands back under your shoulders. And then come up to sit. Last thing. Last thing. So I'm just going to, from hands and knees, step that right foot out to the side, fingers pointing forward, toes pointing the same direction. Okay, so right hand and left knee just slightly pull towards each other so that I can lift that left arm out and up. Maybe even look to the hand. And as I bring it down, I'm going to slide it under or between the right hand and right leg, reaching towards the right foot. One more time, sweep that left arm up to the ceiling. Again, gather the left knee and right hand towards each other. And then as I come under and across, left hand towards the right foot, I'm going to let that left upper arm, maybe the shoulder, come to the floor. Right hand is still on the floor. You can even press into the right hand and just turn the breastbone towards the ceiling. And left foot is pulling in towards my right foot, totally fine. And then slowly press into the right hand. And come back to where you started. Okay, pulling left hand towards the right foot, right arm to the ceiling. And then right arm threads under between left hand and left knee, reaching towards that left side of the room. And one more time up to the ceiling. And again, second time, we're just going to rest. So sliding that arm through, and it may be your forearm, your upper arm, maybe the shoulder. Left hand is supporting you. And keep weighting that left arm. Maybe press into the hand to turn to the left. A little more. And then release. And come back through center. There, the other side. Left toes point forward with the fingers. Pulling right hand and left knee towards each other. Right arm to the ceiling. And again, maybe the first time the arm doesn't rest on the floor, you're using the other limbs to support you as you reach to the left. And then right arm up again. Right arm under and across. Again, this time resting on upper arm, maybe shoulder, maybe back of head. Maybe just gentle press into that left hand to turn you to the left. Softening the neck, the jaw, the ribs. And then press into that left hand and come back up. Opposite, right hand to left foot. Left arm comes up. Good, nice and easy. Again, maybe first time the left arm doesn't come to the floor, just a simple reach to the right. And up. And then again, this time, left arm rests on the floor. Could be the forearm and upper arm. This is the harder twist. Good. Just using that weight in the right arm to stabilize and maybe get a little rotation to the right. And then slowly release. Knees together. Simple, simple child's pose. Knees can be wider or together, just different, right? If the knees are together, you can actually let the arms wrap around the sides of the body, shoulder blades wide, forehead to the floor. Yeah. And then slowly roll up. Okay, downward dog for 2 breaths. All right. Downward cat. And knees down and come onto your back. Thank you. So you can put the blanket or towel under your knees, over your body. It's still chilly. Stretch your legs out. And feel your body settle. And feeling the floor support you as you continue to settle. Softening, sinking back into that support. Feeling the face, the jaw, the mouth, throat, soften. feeling maybe the musculature around the scalp. The bones of the skull. Just kind of in ease. And the way the head rests back on the floor and the way the head holds the brain, the eyes. The softening of the chest, of the back, and softening around the ribs, within the ribs, between the ribs, the lungs and the heart. Diaphragm, the lower torso, so the container of the torso and all the tissues, organs, systems, fluids, settling back. Legs, the length of the leg. All of the skin, the tissues, the bones, blood, the lymph, nerves. When you're ready, you just take another couple minutes just to feel your body soften. And can you feel it? Can you feel and participate with your awareness? Softening of the skin, the tissue, the softening of your awareness, your attention, your participation. Softening of your mind. From that place and gathering that, taking that with you, just a movement of your fingers and toes, the arms and the legs. That the ease and the movement gently roll to your side. To sit. Find your seat. Attend your attention to your breath. Softening around the breath. Container your torso, your ribs. Receiving your breath. Palms together in front of your heart. Just following the rhythm of your breath, your heartbeat. Notice what can soften. Notice what needs more clarity, presence, awakeness, and softness. Let's finish with one poem and using the sound as a vibration through the body. Whoa.